Folks, it's a big week. It's Fed week. Is this going to be one where the Jerome Powell and the Fed rug pulls the market? Are they going to come out and do something unexpected? What's the press conference? What's the press release? All of this great stuff. You know, we got to talk about this with Taylor from Life Goal Investments, man. How you doing?
Heck yeah, this is going to be a fun one. Big week, no doubt.
Well, I will let you as the guest sort of share your thoughts, and I don't know, about 90% of the time we disagree. So this ought to be fun. What do you see coming this week?
So right now, as the market perceives it, 99% certainty of no interest rate hike today. 99, or this week rather. So that's not happening. They're not going to raise interest rates. But
You don't think there's a chance Jerome Powell goes, guys, I told you higher for longer. You're not paying attention. I'm going to kick you in the teeth.
I don't think so, but I think he can very well set that up for a December mishap. And I think that's coming, honestly. Right now, the market perceives about a 20% chance that we get a movement in December. I think that moves significantly higher based on the comments that they're going to make, on Wednesday, which is when that press release comes.
So you're talking Wednesday afternoon, quite possibly Thursday morning. What today, I think the last time I saw was like 23% chance of a December raise. You think that goes meaningfully higher? Meaningfully higher meaning maybe a double? Maybe let's call it 50% chance?
Yeah, I think we get somewhere in that kind of 40 to 50% range. We just had a GDP print at 4.9%.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And at the last meeting, what my big broad takeaway from the last meeting was them saying the economy's too strong. That is what they said at their last meeting. They said, listen, the economy's too strong. And with a really strong economy, you cannot be confident that inflation's rolling over. And the funny thing in the last meeting for me was they said, our three most recent prints on inflation have been really good. And I look at them and go,
what are you looking at?
What are you looking at? Because they're not good to me. Since June, inflation has reverberated back higher. I don't know what you're looking at saying there's three really good prints because I don't see it.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm actually with the market. I've been calling for quite a while, as you know. I think the Fed's done entirely. So I don't see a December print. But to your point, I will agree with you to this extent. I now call Jerome Powell the big bad wolf. And he's huffing and puffing. And he's trying to knock down the market, right?
Yep.
I think he's going to come out and do that. I think he's going to say things like, I think this is what he'll say. We could quite possibly not be done. I personally think another rate hike in the next 2 or 3 meetings is quite possible because I personally, again, if he's going to be the big bad wolf, he doesn't want to put all his chips on December because then we get to December and he does nothing. The market rips. So I think he's going to paint a broader picture. I could see us, tweaking on the, heading into Q1, or he's going to try to extend the duration. That way the market keeps nervous about the big bad wolf at the door. I don't think he's going to put his chips on December.
That's really well put. And that's likely what you will see. I totally agree with you there because, again, what they don't want to do ever is back themselves in a corner where they have to make a decision and the market's going to react meaningfully if they make the decision or if they don't make the decision that they've led on to believe. So I totally agree. And, ever since July 31st, the market peaked. And we've had some real movement downwards. Apple, specifically being the largest company in the world, is down 15% since July 31st.
I think they report Thursday after hours this week, I think.
Thursday. Yep. And that's a big one. What's going on overseas? They get a meaningful percentage of their income revenue coming from overseas countries. And are we seeing a meaningful slowdown in China affect Apple? Like, those are real questions that will be addressed on Thursday. And the earnings that have come out thus far across tech companies have been okay. They've been mixed, right? Google got torched.
Yeah, Google got the company that I'm looking at for my first inkling of China is, surprisingly enough, Starbucks. Starbucks the last 5 or 6 quarters has been that kind of, the way to look inside China. So I think they report tomorrow, I think.
It's so that'll give.
Yeah, it's this week. I think it's tomorrow, Tuesday before, or maybe it's today after. Anyways, they report this week.
Yep.
I'm looking for Starbucks, not so much North America, but China. Right? Is the consumer coming back? Like, you just saw some reports from some casinos in Macau. I forget who it was. A little, higher demand. It's like they're finally getting out of their comfort zone. Obviously, they have the residential collapse nonsense going on with country, the second Evergrande.
Yep.
blowing up right now. So the
Yep.
Chinese economy is in trouble. So I'm going to look to Starbucks for China consumer, I guess.
And yeah, what's interesting there is you have to take what China reports with a grain of salt, right? At least that's what we're
Always,
told.
always.
At least that's what we're
Yeah.
told. You got to take it with a grain of salt, and I think that's a very fair assessment, right? The numbers could be slightly doctored, but guess who's not going to doctor China numbers?
Starbucks.
Starbucks.
Exactly. They're going to call it how it is. And again, people should go back and look. It was 6 quarters ago where Starbucks told us the Chinese consumer is I was going to say tapped out, but that's not what they were saying. Not spending. Right?
Yep.
The Chinese consumer is not tapped out. They're just not spending.
Yep.
Their wealth is tied up in real estate. That they have now lost faith in that. So they just stopped spending. That's what Starbucks told us 6 quarters ago. So they're a bellwether for China.
Guess when you start to see savings rates pick up? What part of the economic cycle? Before you go into recession. People start to say, okay, I'm going to start hoarding cash because it seems like things aren't as good with my job or whatever it is.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Fed as we wrap up this first episode. This I laughed when you said this because it was almost comical. The Fed gets a 4.9% GDP print. and they're looking at that, and their very next Fed meeting, which is Tuesday, Wednesday, they're not going to raise rates. I mean
it's
that's
crazy.
sort of like
it is
crazy, right?
To say. It's crazy to say, but you're in that camp, and I'm in that camp too. Because again, right now, it would be an absolute shock and awe by the market if they did raise rates. The market is right now saying with 99% certainty, crazy that they can even get that high, with everyone being on one side of this trade, that rates aren't going higher tomorrow, or on Wednesday rather.
Yeah, and I also looked at the 4.9, kind of the makings. It was across the board. It wasn't like it's all government spending or all consumer or all. I mean, inventory was building. I mean, everything. It was a relatively clean number.
And the funny thing is on social media and in the news, whatever it might go, people say, yeah, but what about inflation? It's like, no, that's a real GDP number. That's accounting for inflation.
Yeah, real, not nominal, real.
Right,
yeah,
right.
Pretty amazing. So, so Fed week this week, they're gonna. So you like the big bad wolf analogy? It's gonna kind of keep the market on its toes.
Totally. And I do think that December is a real meeting where, again, we'll get closer to it and things will become more formalized and crystallized going into it, because that's what they generally try to do, is pull the market in their direction, whatever it is that they intend to do via the Fed representatives speaking in certain ways, et cetera. But yes, I think that December is going to be live. This one's not. And then going into the next year, I think that we're going to have live meetings until live, meaning they might actually move.
Yeah, a real decision.
Until we get some sort of clarity that inflation is subsiding or our economy starts to slow down, whatever it might be. And we're going to talk, I think, in the next episode about how quickly the economies have shifted historically going into recessions.
We will definitely make that episode too. So again, when you look at what the Fed's doing as far as Fed rate increases, I think you're saying they're not quite done. So terminal rates at least 1, if not 2 moves ahead. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think that one is needed. And I know I'm not in consensus view with this right now, but if you listen, it's not about where inflation is. It's about the rate of change in inflation. Yeah. And the rate of change just went from 12 straight months coming down into June to now for 4 straight months, it's moved in the other direction.
Yeah, it is definitely a rate of change. Also, consumer expectations that jumped last week as well. I think now consumers are expecting roughly 4%, where it was trending mid 3s. So again, if the consumer expects it,
sorry to cut you off. That is a self-fulfilling prophecy. If people think inflation's going higher, they force it higher. And the same on the other side.
No, you get it. Taylor, where can people find you?
Yeah, find us every day on Instagram and on TikTok, putting out 60-second videos breaking down what's the most important thing to talk about in the economy and finance for that day.
Yeah, you're doing an amazing job. I try to forward or whatever it's called, share, whatever it is, all the ones that you put out. So keep it up, man.
Appreciate the heck out of you.